deep breath. Just close your eyes and take a deep breath. And then you can also visualize the practice for Sister Rennie's work. Visualize your favorite place, somewhere you'd love to go on vacation. So see it with your mind's eye. Try to smell the smells. Try to focus on something that you'd really enjoy looking at. It's called like a mini vacation. So you can go to the place of your dreams just by closing your eyes and just trying to use your senses. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're back in this room. So I was trying to notate the commonalities with my presentation, Sister ElHamouly's, and there's so much. But I noticed that you mentioned the spirit, the body, and the community, the three things that we have to give a lot of attention to so that we can be well balanced. And so, I just want to start by saying that, we are up against so much. We're coming out of a pandemic. We're now, a third into Ramadan. So there's a lot to balance. And so being a very visual person, and also working a lot with kids, I like to kind of be able to touch and see what I'm trying to process, and so with balance, I always think of the different cultural tendencies, and you touched on this to Sister ElHamouly with the conditioning. So we're culturally conditioned to think a certain way, and it comes from programming from our parents and from our environment, our culture. And so Saraf and I were even talking about hot cultures and cold cultures, the collectivists versus individualists, the long-term orientation, short-term orientation, how cultures kind of affect us. And so I know, living in both worlds, you kind of, you see that, are you a doing person or are you a being person, and we very much live in a doing culture, a task-oriented culture, as opposed to a more of a feeling, a relationship-oriented culture, which we can typically find in the East. So my goal is, as a person, is really to pay attention to these cultural conditioning issues, but then also know what Islam says, because Islam is usually a nice mix of both. And so I know you also mentioned, that we're a nation, or we're an ummah that is of, in the middle path, the straight path, middle path. And so we have to always, kind of keep that, in mind, because even if our cultural tendencies tend to go a certain way, we need to keep in mind our Islamic, requirements too. So, and then you mentioned also the hadith that, that you have a duty to your Lord, you duty to your body, duty to your family. You have to give everybody their rights. These are rights. And then there's also hadith where someone was kind of bragging that, they're fasting all day and they're praying all night, and they're doing such a great job with the ibadah, with the worship in Ramadan. And the Rasulullah said, don't do that, fast and then break your fast, eat, and then pray in the night and then sleep, get some rest. And then again, he emphasizes your body has a right over you, your eyes have a right over you, meaning you need sleep or rest. And then your wife has a right over you, so your family. So thinking of all the aspects of ourselves. And so I'm gonna draw just on the board, the aspects of ourselves that we have to pay attention to. Okay, so we have the spiritual, we have the physical, we have emotional, and then we have spiritual, mental. Right? So this is just like like just this is all just us. Like we haven't even started taking care of anybody else's rights yet. But this is just for us, with physical well-being, spiritual, emotional, mental, and that takes a lot. And so I started thinking like, what does that look like? We have to balance all of this stuff just to take care of ourselves. And a lot of times we end up abandoning ourselves because we don't give this that much thought. And so I started thinking, okay, the emotional, like you're saying, Sister Manny, what do we do to take care of our emotional well-being? So like I'm thinking, self-love, like are we loving ourselves? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this bike into like an analogy of balance. I love analogies. The Quran uses analogies a lot, like the good word is like a good tree, the roots are firm and the branches in the sky. Or like the analogy of the mountain being shaken to its core and crumbling because of the Quran. So the Quran has that tendency to shake a mountain. So there's so many analogies in the Quran. So we're going to use this bike as an analogy for like balance. Okay. And I don't know if you guys like ride bikes or if you enjoy riding bikes, but it's like, it's liberating. Like you feel like you're using your own feet. You don't need gas or anything. And you're just like, you're free and you can go places and you can do stuff. So it's a nice feeling, but then you have to have balance, right? And then, so there's so many analogies having to do with balance. So like, for example, being aware of your pace, your volume and direction. So you have to know where you're going. You have to have a certain pace, not too fast, not too slow. Or sometimes you need to slow down. Sometimes you need to speed up. And then volume, like how much you're carrying, which is what we're going to do right now with this activity. It's okay to change paths. It's okay to unload and reorganize. Okay, there's always ups and downs, like when you're riding, maybe not in Florida because it's flat, but typically there's, ups and downs and hills and there might be a pothole or something. If a tire pops, you need to take time to like change it, meaning like, in life, if something happens, you really need to heal, like take time to change the tire. You're not going to ride on a flat tire for very long. Whatever you do, you have to continue moving forward. So eventually you have to get back on the bike and you keep going. The front of the bike provides the direction, right? And the meaning. And then the back of the bike is going to provide like the push, right? The support you need to keep going. Sometimes you need to use your brakes. So like you need to just stop sometimes, right? So all these are like analogies pertaining to life balance. And then, being careful when you're going down a slope. So a lot of kids are like going down a hill, like, wee, but then they'll like end up crashing into something, so you have to like be careful when you're having a downfall, right? Because then you really need to watch your ego, right? Before it becomes crashing. And then you have to try to enjoy the ride. And that's really my goal, is to like have a joyful ride to Jannah. Like if that could be the name of like our goal, like I want to have a joyful ride to Jannah. I don't want a stressful ride to Jannah. I don't want to like a hasty, just dangerous ride. I don't want, a difficult ride. I just want a joyful ride. Okay, so for me, I feel like in order to have a joyful ride, we have to meet these things just for ourselves, right? And then we'll get into the other things like the community. So the emotional, so I want you guys to help me pick like what could fulfill our emotional like well-being. So we have like the self-love, and this is take some space, but there's still some room. So what else can fit like emotional? Like I know Sister Manny mentioned something about like coloring or having like being able to express yourself, healing by way of like colors. So like you can use this.
The markers.
Oh,
Are those flowers part of it?
they can be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's a pen. I was gonna say
No,
emotional.
really?
Sometimes things like,
Beautiful
flowers
things.
make you happy.
Make you happier.
and
Yeah.
kind of creating your
Help you heal.
environment. Yeah.
Pets, yeah, pets. It's a different thing.
Pets can help you emotionally too. Yeah.
Then the prayer. Yeah. The prayer.
Yeah. So prayer
Can be
could
spiritual,
spiritual
yeah.
and emotional, right? I
Yeah.
think they all really can work
Connect.
together. They all work together. They're all kind of in the same, circle, same well. But yeah, so this could be emotional and it could be, spiritual. So,
This one to me looks like a relationship. And so I think for emotional as well, like sometimes we have to tend to our relationships and, you know, whether it has to do with love and where your state of love is with, you know, someone else in your family or a significant other. So I would say that contributes to it as well.
Precis. Perfect. So put that in there. So notice the basket's getting full.
It is.
So we have to carry all these things, but we have to make sure that we're taken care of. Let's see, what else? So we have the physical. So we have to take care of our physical bodies too, because you have to pedal, right? So you have to like be in good shape. So we have
Exercise.
we have the weight. Yeah.
5 pounds.
This is if you're into strength training, you know. This might make
Cup holder,
sense.
cup holder. Put it in the cup. Okay,
Oh, that's a good idea.
there we go.
All right. And then I have
Shoes.
the workout shoes if you're into cardio as well. So
If we're on the point of physical, these remind me of like bathroom slippers. So
Take baths.
yeah, as a mom, like I have to remind
Cleanliness.
myself to
Yeah.
take a bath sometimes.
Cool. All right. And then we have the mental. What do you think of the mental?
A book.
Definitely the book. And I have a lot of the Qurans.
Yeah, of course.
Too, because the Quran always tells us to think and use our mental faculties. And so, and I have different sizes of the Quran because people use the Quran to different extents, right? So there's a tiny Quran. So some people have like a bit of a Quran part of their day, medium, and then there's a really big one. So maybe in Ramadan, like they have the big one out, you know, the Quran takes up a big part of their day. But I also made the big Quran take up a little bit less room because I feel like when you have a lot of Quran in your day, it gives you a lot of barakah. So it actually makes you more time. So you think it's taking up, you know, an hour or two, but it gives you barakah that makes the rest of the day go a lot better. And so you want to pass me the Quran too? The Quran I feel like is like a magic, it's a magic healing like Allah says, because I feel like it really, it reconditions and it reprograms your brain. So a lot of that conditioning that we have from our parents or from our culture or our upbringing, the Quran kind of sets it straight. It's like, no, this is how it is. This is the actual truth. You might be used to thinking this way, but this is how it really is. And so when you have that over and over and over again, you tap into all those amazing things that Sister Amani just said. You're able to have more intuition, more connection with God. You have an idea of what you do, what's right, what's wrong. So you just have a better scope and a better compass. So we have the Quran. Okay, so we did the emotional, we did spiritual, we did physical, we did mental. There's also like a few more books you can, you know, just grab a book here. There's journals for like journaling for gratitude, like a gratitude journal. There's a dua book. So all of these are you know, things that you can put into your basket to kind of
Food. Is that physical? Or
food to get good food? Yeah.
this is also emotional, family.
Protein. Yeah. Okay. So this is all just to take care of ourselves.
Oh,
Just-
that's just ourselves.
yeah. So we haven't even gone into like our other people, because there's now, you know, community, other people have rights over us too. So now we have another wheel. Okay, and then this is really going to be subjective depending on what you have going on in your life. So you could have you have maybe a spouse, or you have kids, or how many, you have neighbors, you have relatives, right? You have your community. What else?
Co-workers or
Work, yes. Anything else?
country.
Yes, country, so like citizenship. Global citizenship or just your
Or just
national
your-
citizenship. Yeah. So you have duties to all of these entities, right? So let's start putting stuff. So we have like the friends, right? Can you put that up there? Let's add that up there because that's That's people that want to be with us too. Okay, so probably things up here. Let's see.
Citizenship.
Yeah, we need that. So this was gonna be for like neighbor, like when you exchange food with neighbors, you know. Here's our work bag. You could also, some people are very ambitious and they have like school going on too. Like they work and go to school and have all the other things. So you gotta start, you know, piling up the work bag, you know, and then the school bag.
It's really demonstrating life visually.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's the purpose of it.
Oh my
Do you want
God.
me to hold it?
No,
do you
it's gonna
want it?
balance.
It's supposed to balance.
Supposed to balance. Okay.
So
Oh God.
we have work, we have like maybe like the community volunteering school stuff. Yeah, we have our neighbors, we have our citizenship. What else we got going on? Oh, like our kids, we forgot about our kids. Like, they could be our kids.
Those are the kids. Yeah. Some people, the bits are like
They're
the
That's what I was
Like
gonna
the
say,
kids?
even the pets, yeah.
Oh, stay there.
Oh my God.
What else we got? So we got our neighbors, we got the food, we got some friends. So friends, like you can do activities with friends, like, you know, so
Shopping.
yeah, you can do a book club with
Book club.
friends, like things like that. Put that here. Okay, we have school, okay, we got the bag, we have community, spouse. Spouse is gonna be pretty upset if we don't. well,
Put
we
them
can-
number one.
Yeah, we'll grab him from, well, okay, he's over here, so you can, you know. And this is an important analogy too, because sometimes you have to put people in the back burner a little bit, you know. He's gonna take a back seat right now, but that's how it works. So this is kind of what our life looks like, you know. So this, I can tell you, if you get on the bike now like this, like how's that gonna be?
Heavy and out of.
You're going to be distracted because you're kind of focusing on, oh my God, I hope nothing falls.
Yes.
You're not
So you're going-
focusing
Are you going
on,
slow or are you going
yeah,
average?
slow, and you're
And
maybe
everything
hitting some
seems falling.
speed bumps and,
And
yeah.
things are probably falling off.
Falling off, and then you have to, you know, stop, pick it up, put it back,
Yeah.
make it up to whoever fell. Be like, I'm sorry, let me make it up to you.
Feeling bad.
Yeah,
guilty.
yeah. And then you have to deal with more like emotional well-being things, take time to heal, maybe something fell that shouldn't have. What else? What else can you be happening?
If it rains, then just forget about all of it.
Yeah. You're gonna have to go-
Unexpected event.
Unexpected
yeah.
events, you're gonna have to go hide maybe under a, you know, tree or shelter or something. What else? What emotions are coming up, or how are you?
It's a
Overwhelmed.
lot.
It's a load, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's like you're carrying all of it.
Mhm. Yeah, and there's even some more stuff that we didn't even put in, you know. we could have
The
done some more
unexpected
things.
things.
Yeah. So we tend to carry on a lot, you know, and so when we kind of visualize, you know, what that looks like, because, you know, just kind of like even with breaking our fast, we get so hungry, we think we're gonna eat so much, and then like our stomach's this big, you know, we don't think about that, like, you know, how much can you actually stuff at one time? Because yeah, you missed 3 meals, but you can't eat them all at once, you know. So similarly with our life, you know, like they always say, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So you really have to prioritize. And, you know, you can do things, but just maybe not at the same time. Or what you could do is you can substitute like a big thing for a little thing. Like, for example, this is like a really big work bag, you know, say it's gonna be really hard to travel with this bag, but if I take like maybe a smaller assignment, then maybe, you know, it'll be a little bit lighter and I can handle that. So you can swap things. So that's really the practice that we're getting at is, you know, first of all, realizing what we have on our shoulders, and then knowing that we can kind of make these compromises or short-term sacrifices or negotiations so that things are being done, in justice to yourself, because you have to take care of all of these, things just to be okay. Like this, again, this is like kind of like the front part of the bike. The front part of the bike gives you direction and it gives you, meaning. So like Allah is going to tell you where to go. If you don't have Allah, like, or the Quran with you, you could be going really fast in the wrong way. You don't want that, the prayer, all these things, like these are all essential things. If you're not in good physical shape, you won't be able to ride, your mental capacity needs to be in good shape so that you can handle the ups and downs and the valleys and the peaks and stuff like that. So it's important to always be in a state of flexibility and pliability with your life. So it can't be, oh, well, it has to be like that. Oh, well, I have no choice, but we have to be pliable and we have to honor ourselves, when we do that, because a lot of times it's our obligations to other or our need to please others, this ends up, kind of, we just take everything out of here and we'll put stuff that's supposed to be in the back, we'll put it in the front. So we'll get rid of the prayer, we'll get rid of the Quran, we'll get rid of the self-love, we'll get rid of all, a lot of times the physical aspect is first to go too. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to
Those shoes are big, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, people didn't have to think about, physical activity because it was a big part of our
Yeah.
Life.
life. But now you have to be intentional about so many things that used to be so natural. And that's part of, our, just our culture and our generation, things we have to kind of, tend to. Very much like, our social interaction, like, our neighbors, our friends. Like it used to be that it was very common to see or bump into your neighbors and bump into your friends as you go places. But now you have to make an effort to call them and see them because you know that it's important to have them in your life. Again, the back part is going to give you that push. It's giving you that propel. So it's important to visualize and it's important to know what your load is. So think about your own load, and that's something that I had here too is like, list the roles that you have to balance. Like, what are you balancing in your life? What does it look like? Are you prioritizing the things that need to be prioritized, or are you kind of putting yourself on the back burner, and making more room for other things, other people, and neglecting, your own self. So I know, like in the Sia song, like Courage to Change, she says like, I abandon myself daily. We all abandon ourselves daily to some extent, but do we have the courage to change that? Because when we change, we become better for the world as well. So the world sees us in our best state, like when we do kind of too much, it's kind of, like that bell curve, so here's like too little. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but here's like too much. And when we're here, we're not really doing a lot because this is coming at an expense of something else. So we really just need to be here, like where it's like, just right. And then we don't fall into like, oh, I really want to do such a really good job. Okay, well, I can, do it, perfect, but then I won't be able to do so many other things. I'm saying yes to one thing, I'm saying no to 10 other things. So is that really the best version of me? Probably not. So that's really what I had in mind is for us to, to see ourselves and then see our lives kind of differently and be, true to ourselves and be honest with ourselves. Just want to make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to. I can't emphasize the Quran enough. That's like such a game changer. The last thing I wanted to highlight, I know you guys all know this like 7 Habits book, but a lot of people don't look at the appendix in the back. So Appendix A, actually, of the 7 Habits book tells you like what your center is. So everybody has like a center. You could be like spouse centered, family centered, money centered. Again, culture. We live in an individualistic, capitalistic country, and so money is something that's really important. And so, do you see the world through these things? Money, work, possessions. Possessions is a big one. It's also very materialistic culture. Pleasure, friends, spouse. Some people are even enemy centered. Like they're really vengeful. There's a lot. They want to get back. Their whole life is seeing through the lens of, I need to get back at this person, I need to get revenge, I need to, are you like mosque centered or church centered? Which could be a good thing. Are you self-centered? So it has all of the different centers, because depending on what your center is how you see the rest of the world. So if you're spouse-centered, and you're, you just kind of idolize your spouse, everything's going to be about your spouse, your spouse is your friend, your spouse and you have similar enemies, church is something you do with your spouse, your self-worth is based on your spouse, so everything gets funneled through that lens. So what we don't want to be centered around any of these things, as much as they are important. Our family is so important, our work, money, everything, all those are so important, but it can't be our center. The principles have to be our center. And the principles are our values. It's our deen. It's what our religion says. It's what Allah says, and so like eventually, you have to opt out of so many things. You have to say no to so many things, and you have to make your priority about pleasing God and living according to his principles and according to his divine will, because his commandments are really superpowers for us. We could muddle through and figure out things on our own, or we can follow the commandments and come out a lot better. And subhanAllah, I think we're in the time of the Quran where they're going through Surah Yunus, and it says that, mashallah, the people of Yunus were the most civilization to benefit from the divine wisdom of the Quran. So when they actually did believe after Jonas came back, they did believe, they understood the commandments, they followed the commandments, and they were the civilization that benefited the most of any other living civilization just from following the commandments of God. So they put culture aside, they put their parental programming to the side, they put their environment to the side, and they really followed the divine wisdom. And that, it's almost like it gives you superpowers. It gives you that intuition. It tells you what to do. It tells you, the best course of action. And it gives you that inner peace, so that you are having a joyful ride to Jannah rather than, a hasty ride. So it God will inspire you. What do you take off? What do you put back? What do you, balance today? So you pick up maybe just the weights are enough. You don't need to do cardio and, strength training right now. It's Ramadan, like seriously, take a load off. So like you'll get, in touch with yourself to where you'll know what the right thing to do is, with this divine wisdom. So that's hopefully I, got through. So this is again the summary of the 7 habits. You can see, in the back, it's really, I'm surprised like this doesn't get as much attention as the 7 habits themselves. But speaking of the 7 habits, one of the things that he always tells about is, going from dependent to independent to interdependent. So, in my mind, I was like, how can I be a strong interdependent woman? And because the word woman now is being like thrown around a lot in different contexts, I was like, okay, how can I be a strong interdependent lady? Because lady kind of encompasses what we mean by woman, like, all of the, we have like these strengths, that Allah gave us, to nurture, to, be more like caregivers, emotionally connected. We have like really high emotional intelligence, so how can I be that, and how could I live solely to please God and not to please everybody else? So do what makes sense to me and what God told me to do, for his sake alone. So that's, hopefully that helped a little bit. I know with Ramadan is our goal. It's no different in Ramadan than outside of Ramadan. Ramadan is when we get to work on ourselves so that we can sustain it. We want to sustain that level of joyful riding to Jannah. We want to, make the Quran a big part of our lives for good. We want to, get back on track with our, self-acceptance and self-love. We want to, design a life that we can be happy about and we can sustain throughout the year, that can make us better. So, I know Ramadan feels like one big long day sometimes, and it's hard to, kind of know, okay, what day is it? Sometimes you're a little disoriented, but there's actually so many gifts in Ramadan. Ramadan shows you who you really are to yourself. You're kind of confronted with things all day. Oh, wow, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I still haven't started. So you're, this is who you are. The big shaitans are out. So it's just, this is all you. And so now's a really good time to do this kind of visualization so that you can, when the real shaitan comes back, you're ready, you have everything set for yourself and you know what you can handle, you know what, you need to do.
Just like the annual spiritual checkup.
Yes, yes, the annual boot camp.
Yeah.
So inshallah we'll able to make the changes that we need to honor ourselves. And this week I guess we can turn this into like, a bike kind of like, so that you have like, the wheels, or maybe it should go the other way because this is the back, this is the front. So it's going this way. So that's our little bike. So yeah, any questions, comments?
It's a beautiful analogy. I love it. I love how you made it virtual like that.
Yeah. And another thing I thought about with the kids, they're supposed to be my kids. So when they're little, they definitely need to be up front. Like they definitely take a lot from you, and and you are so feeding them emotionally, physically, and like they're so dependent on you. But then they can move to the back seat. Like when they get a little bit older, you can move them to the back, and then you have more time for yourself, like for your things, because the worship before was them. Like when Maryam was like, like she was my tarawih,
Yeah.
But now I can go back to doing tarawih because like she's in the back, but she's still with me, so that's good. So alhamdulillah. But you have to be like just really flexible. And I
So
think
some
that's-
mothers can be so their world view is just the children. And
like the children centered.
yeah, so when the children grow, I guess we all feel sometimes what they call the empty nest a little bit. But if you have not developed the other areas in your life, then some people get it really hard. It's hard already,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then you're able to cope with it or to see the other aspect of your life and be there for them. But but if that is your center, and you haven't developed the other areas, so
yeah.
it becomes hard.
And that's the attachment that Dr. was talking about too. Like you become so attached to that, like if you're attached to like, your work and then suddenly, they're not there and you're talking to yourself, like, does it really count? Like, are you just fixated on work or are you, goal, value center where as long as you're living out your values, you're good. Someone, comes, someone doesn't come, someone's does what you want them to do, doesn't want them, you're good, because you're living according to your principles and values and that you're not shaken. But that takes a lot of, realigning and, again, you fall off, you get back. It takes a lot of inner work. So inshallah, we're able to do that work and prioritize our principles and the Quran, inshallah.
I love the analogy. I feel like it works in so many different ways. And I like what you said about the Quran, like the heaviness of it, but we forget sometimes that just by reading the Quran, that can bring barakah into our day, and then it's like it's not really taking away; it's actually creating a more, better day.
I mean, for sure. I mean, that's one of the biggest takeaways that I got from the pandemic, because the pandemic happened and my father passed away at the same time, and so it was like I had to dive deep into the Quran for my own sanity. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought this period would feel so bad, but it's actually like the best I've ever felt. And it was surprising. So I was like, how is that? And what if it was supposed to be like that all along? I was really prioritizing other things that I thought would make me be better and feel better. But it was really this all along. It was honoring like, this part of my soul, myself, and then everything else comes out of that, so yeah. Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I love how both of you both talked about how what you said, there were so many similarities, but it's just two completely different approaches to how we can go about finding, balance during Ramadan and everything. So thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah.